magbayad. Patirahin mo muna dyan sa lugar niya, ako ang magbayad. Ganon rin. I swear to you upon my oath of office, I will pay kung hindi sila makabayad. Pagbibigay ng 1 month reprieve sa bills payments ng basic utility providers, gawan po natin ng paraan na mapagaan ang gastusin ng ating mga kababayan sa panahong ito at para maiwasan pa rin ang paglabas ng mga tao. But anyway, I have said I do not, my facility for the Tagalog dialect is quite terrible. Pero I hope that you can understand my language. Pagtulong ng big business sa mga small and medium scale enterprises. Tulungan din sana ng malaking kumpanya ang mga maliliit na negosyante para hindi mamatay ang kabuhayan nila. I urge our business leaders to find ways to help small businesses and ease the burden which is felt by the ordinary citizen right now. In relation to this, I would be happy that several big businesses and companies have already expressed their willingness to partner with government in this time of crisis. I've mentioned a little while ago the businesses that I think are already into the activity of helping our medium scale businessmen. So I hope I'll go around. So I hope that I will be able to see one of these act of the big business helping the small ones. Ngayon pa lang magpapasalamat na po ako sa inyong tulong. Maraming salamat galing po sa puso ko. My countrymen, again we discuss our most potent weapons in this war against COVID-19 are not bullets or ammunition, but our compassion and consideration for our Filipinos in the next few years. Ito hindi ito giyera. Ang problema nito, yung bala ng sakit, yung mag-atching, mag-ubo, tapos whatever that will pass. Yung iba naman maghawak. Ito hindi ako nagpapatawa ha. At hindi ako nagbabastos ng tao. May mga Pilipino gano'n eh. Pagka sikma gano'n, gano'n sa kamay. Tapos kung ano yung pinakamalapit, kahoy, upuan, gano'n sa kamay. Marami yan. Marami akong nakikita na gano'n. Yung minsan, yung gano'n lang. Tapos gano'n. Si Iwan. If that person is already positive for investigation na lalala talaga ang sitwasyon natin. So those for those who are really into something like that, kindly avoid. Yung bastos na gawin. Walang iba yan. Bisaya yan, binastos. Hindi ba naman dapat gawin yan? Those are the things that you should do para hindi Our countrymen are most potent weapons in this war against COVID-19. Wala naman to. As I have said before, they are not our enemy. They are simply to ensure the movement of every person during the next few weeks. We'll be consistent and we will not derail our collective efforts against the disease. Again, do not fear. Wala kayong katapat-takutan sa military pati police. They are just there to execute order. Hindi naman nila order dito sa itaas yan, dito sa amin. So, inuulit-ulit kasi yung reminder, you should love your military man. Namamatay na nga yan sa gera. Kita mo, uuwi na doon sa kanila, kabaong na lang. You should feel for your soldiers and police. They are not your enemies. Though sometimes you, if you are a criminal, or if you do something, I said, which is not in consonance with the public good, masita ka. But I said, those are the things that can happen in a democracy. That there's always a police. Paski anong klase, autocratic, diktador ka, kailangan mo ang police. Dito, we are a democracy, and we try to really act as one. If you are doing nothing wrong, and if you don't quarrel with them, please do not. Pero hindi ka naman sabihin mo, may baril yan, gamitin yan. Depende lang, kung may baril ka rin. Pero kung sigaw-sigaw ka lang dyan, naturally, I said, that is a disturbance of the public order. And that is the time that you can be arrested for disobedience. Otherwise, the police and the military do not have any business at all interfering with your lives. Kung dito na lang mag-shortcut na ang haba eh. As I end, I solemnly urge everyone to pray to the Almighty God who has the power to defeat every enemy, visible or invisible. Pray for all doctors and health professionals and workers. Pray for your government. Pray for the country. Even as we maintain physical distance from each other, let us remain strong, united in spirit, to fight this dreaded disease. And with our unity, the blessing of God, we shall overcome. Maraming salamat po. Okay? So,
you've been listening to President Duterte in a taped address from Malacanang. He announced, as announced, our big story tonight, a directive placing the entire island of Luzon under enhanced community quarantine, the government's latest bid to contain the spread of COVID-19. Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. To further explain the expanded quarantine, we have on the line Dr. Troy Hepte, a former consultant to the Department of Health and to the World Health Organization. Good evening, Dr. Hepte.
Good evening, Robbie, and magandang gabi po sa ating mga viewers.
Okay, Dr. Hepte, may nagbago po ba sa ating pag-intindi o meron ba dapat magbago sa ating pag-intindi kung ano po ibig sabihin ng from community quarantine to this enhanced quarantine?
Bale, Robbie, yung dating quarantine natin, yung unang community quarantine natin, pinayagan pa natin na magkaroon ng access to work yung mga tao. Although nagsuspend na tayo ng mga classes, and nagtatayo na tayo ng mga checkpoints. Ngayon naman, magkakaroon na tayo ng restriction na ngayon sa movement with regards to work. So, the President had a long discussion. He had a long list of things to say kung ano yung pwede nating ma-expect kung magkaroon na ng work stoppage. And also, yung magkakaroon tayo ng suspension sa transportation. This is all for the further limitation pa of our movements. Kasi kung dumadami na yung kaso natin, as was mentioned by the President, 140 na yung cases natin, we will be expecting an exponential growth in the next few days. So we are just at that time na siguro sakto lang yung timing natin na pipigilan natin ngayon yung tao na magkaroon ng paghahawa-hawa dun sa COVID-19 virus.
Okay, so linawin na po natin because in the days prior, we were talking about controlling entry and exit to and from Metro Manila. Now the enhanced quarantine also addresses intra-metro movement. Tama po ba yan?
Yes, intra-metro movement, and also it's expanded to the Luzon, yung buong island of Luzon, including the islands. I think the guidelines are presently being developed as to how we will expand or enhance pa yung community quarantine natin, just not in Metro Manila, but doon na rin sa ibang mga probinsya, ibang mga cities natin outside Metro Manila. So dito, mawawala na yung difficulty natin na experience yesterday and especially today, kung saan yung nakita sa checkpoints. Instead of social distancing, we really learned a lot na how not to do it kasi ang dami talagang nakita nyo nagko-congest. And instead of preventing social distancing, we were actually enhancing yung paglalapit-lapit ng mga tao. So that's something that parang lessons learned talaga natin for these past 2 days.
Okay, so and when we say work stoppage, how literally should people anticipate or think about this? Talagang wala munang magtatrabaho, and for that matter, you mentioned mass transport also going to be suspended. So we take that literally in the most simple way we could interpret it.
Yes. Bale, matitira na lang, Robbie, yung mga very essential services like yung sa health, yung those who are involved in food security, those who are involved in peace and order, and also those who might be involved in sa stability ng financing natin, yung sa banking. So, dun sa mga nasabi kanina, operationally, or in yung sa madaling salita, matitira lang talaga kung sa pagkain, sa mga butika, o dun sa mga bangko o ATM, yan na lang yung na-expect natin muna for the next few weeks or the next few months. So, talagang titigil tayo kasi kailangan natin patigilin din yung virus kung tayo dati magkakaroon ng risk for this spread. We have to find a very, very harsh way to deal with this virus, and that would mean having to deal with it in a harsh way sa society din natin. So this is really something unprecedented na magagawa natin, which is also being done in the other countries which has experienced itong big rise in the number of cases of COVID.
Okay. Now, Dr. Hepte, it is, as you said, harsh. It is very extreme. But when you say harsh, it will really impact on our daily wage earners. Ano po yung mga safeguards na nabanggit ng Pangulo that you would like to emphasize here?
Yes. Actually, first of all, yung prepositioning of food, I think the Cabinet is really trying to secure yung pagkain natin, trying to work with our private sector to ensure that meron tayong mabibiling pagkain ng ating mga mamamayan, and tutulong talaga ang DSWD dito, lalo din sa mga mahihirap, din sa mga marginalized parts of our society. And for the employees naman, we are going to really appeal to the employers to study very well kung ano yung kind of worker compensation, but the government is willing to step in to provide all the means necessary for us to have some basic subsistence na nakikitain, or at least yung income or allowance that might be there, so that we will try to avoid yung dissolution ng society natin. This is something different talaga na we want to avoid civil unrest, that there will be anarchy. So magtutulong-tulong tayo dito since those who can provide will help those who cannot really afford yung mga basic necessities natin.
Okay, maraming salamat, Dr. Troy Hepte. Now, it was a pre-recorded speech which ran for 50 minutes to give us a detailed rundown of the salient points of the President's order expanding the quarantine to the entire of Luzon Island. We have with us on the line News 5 correspondent Maricel Halili. We speak to her from Malacanang. Mase, what were the key points again? Paki-recap lang sa atin.
Yes, Robbie, like what you said, the President has announced that he has decided to put the entire Luzon under enhanced community quarantine. Ibig sabihin nga nito na yung mga work in public and private places shall be limited to work at home only. So, panawagan niya dun sa mga workers is we have to contribute to this fight. Dapat lahat daw ang makiisa because ngayon ang nakikita nilang nagiging problema dahil ongoing pa rin yung work from different government and private agencies, hindi pa rin talaga naiiwasan yung pagkakaroon ng contact, especially sa mga transportation. Ang sinasabi ni President Duterte doon sa kanyang pre-recorded statement na pwede pa rin naman daw lumabas ng bahay, so hindi daw dapat matakot. Papayagan din daw sila na lumabas pero pa isa-isa lang para bumili ng pagkain. Iiwanan daw nila na bukas yung mga restaurants and karinderya. Dire-diretso daw yung operations noon. Pero yung mga matatanda, mas maigi daw na maiwan na lang sa bahay. Ang paglilinaw lang niya, this is not a martial law dahil martial law daw is para sa mga rebellion. Ito daw paglaban lamang dito sa virus. Nanawagan din siya doon sa mga mayayaman na companies and mga employers to please help their employees na sana daw kahit nagkaroon ng mga ilang araw na walang pasok, makapagbigay pa rin daw ng mga 13th month pay o kaya kahit kalahati ng sweldo para dun sa mga employees, ordinary employees, para naman doon sa mga tenants, tsaka yung mga kailangan na magbayad ng bills, bibigyan daw ng 1-month extension para doon sa mga basic bills na kailangan bayaran. Nanawagan din sila na sana ipagpaubaya muna sa loob lang ng isang buwan yung hindi pagbabayad ng tenant dahil nga magkakaroon ng problem doon sa mga trabaho. Inanunsyo rin ng Pangulong Duterte na tigil putukan muna para nga daw makapag-concentrate muna dito sa pag-sugpo ng COVID-19. And in a while, magkakaroon din tayo ng press briefing kasama si Secretary Nobrales. Nakita na natin dito sa press briefing room si Secretary Andanar, makakasama rin si Secretary Duque with Secretary Anew to discuss the guidelines of the order of the President. Ang binigyang punto rin dito pala, Robbie, ang magiging main na pagmomonitor sa different barangays, yung mga barangay captain, to ensure daw na merong enough supply of food yung mga residents ng kanilang mga barangay. He also ordered the DSWD to make sure na merong mga enough na pagkain yung all residents in different areas. Robbie?
Okay, Mase, nabanggit mo no, na nawagan siya sa pribadong sektor na tulungan ang mga empleyado. Linawin lang natin, panawagan ba yan or papunta ba yan sa isang direktiba?
It's more of an order, Robbie, dahil nga sinasabi ni President Duterte may hirapan. Even yung mga maliliit na negosyo, hindi rin naman sila makakapag-operate ng maayos ngayon. Actually, sinasabi na rin ito ng Trade Department na mas kaya naman na tumayo ng mga malalaking companies like yung mga malls. So sana this time tulungan nila yung mga even the small and medium enterprises, especially the ordinary employees. Otherwise, may hirapan tayo. Ang sabi nga niya, if hindi nila ito, sana magawa nila to bilang Pilipino. Dahil ang problema naman na to, problema din naman nating lahat. Yan yung tono ni President Duterte kanina.
Okay, Mase, what do we understand now about the school year? Meron na bang may lumabas ba, whether binanggit ng Pangulo or developments today from the Department of Education?
Wala pang nabanggit si President Duterte when it comes doon sa magiging adjustment doon sa school year. Pero prior to this, meron din namang clarification ng Department of Education na for now, to ensure na makukomplete ng mga students yung mga requirements for the school year, meron daw silang available online and they can also take their exams online. So kapag daw yung mga teachers, hindi rin daw sila required to go to their schools except if tawagin ng mga superintendents kasi meron na kailangang ayusin. So yun naman yung statement na binigay ng DepEd prior to this announcement.
Now, Mase, I don't know if this was mentioned also, but it might come up later. May nabanggit ba ang Pangulo, speaking of reaching out to the private sector and trying to figure out what we can all do together, may nabanggit ba siya tax season na, merong mga lumulutang na mga suggestion that maybe pwedeng may palugit din pagdating sa tax season para may konti rin may paluwal ang mga employers. May nabanggit ba with regards to BIR and tax season?
Sa pahayag ni President Duterte kanina, wala siyang nabanggit about dun sa deadline na April 15. Pero doon sa press briefing, before this, merong nabanggit I think that was last Friday, na parang sinabi ng Department of Finance na mukhang hindi nila pwedeng i-adjust yung deadline for the paying of taxes. But I think they're looking for other systems or other ways para matulungan din yung mga hindi makakaabot.
Okay, gaya po ng nabanggit ni Maricel Halili, may ongoing meeting pa, and we might expect, or for that matter, a briefing that is still upcoming. So maraming salamat, Maricel Halili, at tabayanan natin yan. With quarantine now expanded to cover the entire Luzon, more flights going in and out of the country have been canceled. To give us updates on the current situation at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, we have News 5 correspondent Marlene Alcaide live from NAIA. Marlene.
Robbie, as part of preventive measures against the spread of COVID-19, other parts in the country have also declared a community quarantine. This prompted airlines to cancel other domestic flights outside Metro Manila. Philippine Airlines announced the cancellation of flights going to Cebu. In compliance with the directive of the provincial government of Cebu restricting entry of passengers from domestic airports starting tomorrow, March 17 to March 18. But international flights to or from Cebu will continue. Meanwhile, here at the NAIA, Manila International Airport Authority temporarily banned the entry of non-passengers and non-airport employees in all NAIA terminals. Only passengers can enter the terminals, but they need to show their ticket or itinerary before going in. Early this afternoon, we saw Honey Grace and Mary Joy's whole family from Pangasinan and Pampanga. They are set to fly to Canada. Honey Grace and Mary Joy will study in Canada. They arrived in Manila on March 14 to make sure that the lockdown won't affect them. Since this is the first time they will be away from their daughters, Honey Grace's whole family from Pangasinan were allowed to enter Manila. However, they were not allowed to enter the terminal. Mia explains that this is part of their preventive measures against the spread of COVID-19. All domestic flights going in and out of Metro Manila are already canceled due to the community quarantine. However, international flights have not yet been suspended. Robbie, the travel ban remains in China, Macau, Hong Kong, Iran, and Italy. With regard to arrivals, only Filipinos will be allowed to enter the country, including their spouses. Passengers needing assistance, such as the elderly, pregnant women, mothers, and traveling with infant, persons with disability, and those with medical condition are advised to inform their travel agents upon booking that they would require assistance at the airport. Robbie?
Maraming salamat, Marlene Alcaide. We'll pause for a short break, but when the big story returns, it was a confusing and frustrating start to the first weekday of the community quarantine. Long lines, massive congestion, both of vehicles and commuters, left many unable to comply with social distancing guidelines. And it's not just in Metro Manila. In Davao City, a partial lockdown begins tonight, restricting the entry of travelers from Tagum City. We'll have details later after the break. For now, here's a list of cities and provinces under a state of calamity. I'm Robbie Alampa. You're watching The Big Story. Traffic in Metro Manila streets was light today, but on roads entering the metropolis, it was a very different story. The first day of the implementation of the metro-wide quarantine was met with confusion and frustration. Commuters entering the NCR were lined up for hours as authorities tried to enforce quarantine guidelines, including body temperature checks and social distancing in public utility vehicles. At the San Pedro Laguna Muntinlupa border, some buses and jeepneys refused to ply their routes after being told to keep the number of passengers at a certain minimum. At the Ortigas Extension checkpoint, some of the thermal scanners ran out of batteries, enabling people with possible COVID-19 symptoms to slip through. Meanwhile, at the Pasig-Taytay boundary, traffic started building up as early as 5 o'clock in the morning. The Health Department over the weekend reported 29 new COVID-19 cases and 4 more deaths, bringing the total number of infections in the country to 140. Fatalities now stands at 12. Riza Diaz joins us from the newsroom to give us details. Riza.
Robbie, we are looking at the local situation via this tracker that's created by the Department of Health. So as we could see via, again, this tracker, most of the cases still is concentrated here in Metro Manila. But very recently, the DOH has also confirmed infections outside the country's capital. 2 of those are actually in the Mindanao area. We are looking at one in the Davao, or a patient rather, confined at the Northern Mindanao Medical Center, and another patient confined at the Davao Regional Medical Center. Now, in terms of drastic rise of cases, we can see that in one day there was a big rise of cases, particularly on the dates of March 14 to March 15, where we saw an increase again overnight, a number from 53 cases that jumped all the way to over 100. Now looking or zooming in rather to the demographics, we can see that the most affected ages that is very prone to the virus are ages 61 to 70 years old. And if we're going to check also the gender, it's mostly male that would contract the virus. Robbie.
Thank you, Riza. Now, Senate Minority Leader Migz Zubiri has tested positive for COVID-19. Zubiri said that Health Secretary Francisco Duque informed him that he had tested positive for the virus. He was found to be asymptomatic, which means he has not yet shown any symptoms of the disease, like dry cough, fever, and shortness of breath. He is under self-monitoring and has isolated himself from the rest of his family. The senator says if he gets worse, he will seek help from the Department of Health. Davao City, the largest city in Mindanao, is now under community quarantine like Metro Manila. Many of its workers are also living outside the city limits. Joining us from the line from Davao City is News 5 correspondent Jem Avancenia. Jem.
Robbie, anytime tonight, Lasan checkpoint here in Davao City will be closed from those who intend to go in and out of Davao City, according to an official of PNP. This is in line with the city government's implementation of partial lockdown. Earlier today, all individuals who passed by Lasan checkpoint were asked to provide identification cards, and those who reside in Tagum City were banned from entering Davao City. Partial lockdown was declared last night after the Department of Health confirmed the first COVID-19 case in Davao region. She was patient 130, a 21-year-old Filipina who traveled from UK via Qatar. She's now confined in a hospital in Tagum City, but authorities said that her condition is improving. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte clarified that other entry points of Davao City is still open, with a partial lockdown only implemented in routes between Davao City and Tagum City. Mayor Duterte said she cannot declare a total lockdown yet for the whole city, since Davao City is considered as the pseudo-economic center of Davao region. Duterte constantly advises the public to always observe proper hygiene and avoid going out, especially to crowded places. As of this time, the Davao LG is still formulating more specific guidelines in line with the declaration of a partial lockdown. Robbie?
That was Jem Avancenia reporting live from Davao City. Now, coming up on the big story, COVID-19 cases continue to pile up in Europe, which the WHO now tags as the epicenter of the virus. Italy had its highest death count, 368 in a single day. For now, here's a list of cities and provinces under a state of calamity.
of its epidemic.
New York City and 4 other U.S. states have also ordered bars to close and restaurants to stop dine-in services. President Donald Trump, who tested negative for the virus, has extended his travel bans to Britain and Ireland. In Asia, China has tightened checks on international travelers after new imported cases surpassed locally transmitted infections for a second day. In South Korea, new cases continue to decline, with officials reporting 74 infections. That is slightly down from 76 the previous day. Back to Riza Diaz for updates on COVID-19 in other countries.
Robbie, this time we're going to check the latest COVID-19 global figures via the Johns Hopkins University's online tracking map. So as of today, there are again 169,387 confirmed cases of COVID-19 worldwide. Italy, this is China's number, 81,020. They have the highest rate so far, or rather cases so far. Italy comes in second with 24,747, followed by Iran having 13,938 cases. Now, if we talk about death tolls, moving on to this side, we are talking about already 6,513. 1,809 of which are from Italy. Iran has 724 deaths, while Spain has 292 deaths. Now, on the bright side of things, there are 77,257 individuals who have recovered from the disease. Robbie.
A total of 444 Filipinos from the MV Grand Princess in California arrived home today. Their chartered flight landed at Clark Air Base in Pampanga this morning. The repatriates were immediately transported to the Athletes Village in New Clark City for a mandatory 14-day quarantine. Airport authorities have enforced travel restrictions on arriving passengers as recommended by the COVID-19 task force. Starting today, all incoming passengers are required to present medical certificates issued within the last 48 hours that they are COVID-free. Exempted from the policy are Filipino citizens and their spouse and children, foreigners with Philippine permanent resident visas, and members of the diplomatic corps. The Bureau of Customs is denying having delayed the release of essential medical supplies and equipment in its warehouses. The BOC was compelled to issue a statement after Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin said in a tweet that medical supplies such as personal protective equipment are being kept in customs warehouses. Customs officials say the processing of shipments containing medical supplies and relief goods are being prioritized and carried out as fast as possible. It encouraged concerned agencies to provide advanced, detailed information on their imported emergency medical supplies so the supplies can be processed and released immediately. Even without the quarantine procedures at Metro Manila's boundaries, traffic at the South Luzon Expressway has always been problematic. Joining us live at the SLEX is News 5 correspondent Laila Pangilinan.
Good evening, Robbie. We are now here at the National Road at the boundary of San Pedro City, Laguna, and Muntinlupa City. This is where the National Road divides NCR and Laguna. But actually, we will be telling you what really happened at the Susana Heights exit at the South Luzon Expressway. But for the meantime, Robbie, most passengers and motorists here today were unable to practice social distancing. Long lines of vehicles even prompted the passengers and commuters to just go down and walk. These delivery trucks, buses, motorcycles, and private vehicles had to wait for hours along the National Road in Muntinlupa City. Each vehicle went through an inspection. Passengers were asked for their identification card, and they also had to go through temperature checks carried out by uniformed personnel assigned at designated checkpoints. Unfortunately, some were not allowed to get past the checkpoint as their body temperature was higher than 37.5 degrees Celsius. Passengers Passengers, however, may be checked thrice, but if temperature remains high, then they will be denied entry and then be brought to the hospital for a checkup. We also spoke to commuters who were stranded because there is a big shortage in jeepneys and buses. They had no choice but to walk or wait for hours just to ride the bus. We also saw the checkpoint at the Susana Heights exit, Robbie, and this is where they have a different method. Let me just explain that at the end of Susana Heights is the national road where I am standing right now. Susana Heights will lead you either to Muntinlupa City if you turn left or San Pedro Laguna when you turn right. In Susana Heights, commuters, drivers, conductors, and helpers are asked to alight from their vehicles so that the Southern Police District could check on their temperature and ID. Back here at the National Road, Robbie, if you notice, there is a long line of our commuters and passengers who are walking by foot. And if you notice, wala na talaga social distancing na nangyayari dito, dikit-dikit sila. But this is quite an improvement because ngayon nakikita mo, dalawa na yung nagtitake ng temperature compared kaninang hapon na nakita natin, isa lang ang nagkukuha ng temperature. Itong linya na to, nasa 1 kilometro na ang layo nito, Robbie. And dito naman, makikita ninyo, they're also taking temperatures of the mga motorists dito, Robbie. So yan ang pinakang latest na nangyayari dito. Back to you, Robbie.
Maraming salamat. That was Laila Pangilinan live from San Pedro, Laguna. They are the frontliners in a deadly fight against an unseen enemy. Doctors, nurses, and other medical personnel waging a silent battle against the COVID-19 scourge. But they are not invincible and they need everybody's support. Protect the Frontline is an online call to help our health workers who have been manning the trenches since day one in this war against COVID-19. They are the professionals dressed in plain scrubs, seemingly oblivious to the danger the coronavirus poses, trying to save lives while risking their own. But they are the ones who need our full support now. It's going to be a protracted fight, and they need all the equipment and supplies and support they can get. Protect the Frontline is accepting donations like alcohol, face masks, surgical gloves, and other personal protective equipment. Above all, they need our moral support and prayers to carry on. And that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250. Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. I'm Robbie Alampay, and we are One News. Good evening.
Meron tayong, ayun nga sir, may general community quarantine, then nag-progress tayo to enhanced community quarantine. Many are wondering, may next step pa ba doon? May next phase for that after?
We'll take it on a day-to-day basis. So right now, like we just announced na daily po, mag-meet, mag-assess po ang ating